to the second of 6 Halloween episodes of Regular Show, and in comparison to the last Halloween episode, this Halloween episode really improved on making each Halloween story interesting, but also entertaining in a creative direction. Like before, there are 3 stories: Payback, Party Bus, and Wallpaper Man. The characters are going to a Halloween party, and to pass the time, Mordecai and Margaret tell the scary stories from their point of view towards their friends, which Benson mentioned that Pops is extremely afraid of scary stories, which led to him telling his scary story towards the second half of this episode. Mordecai's story Payback is where his dead uncle gets killed in one of the machines in the bowling alley after he paid him back to do more bowling. With him dead, he haunts Mordecai in order to, well, let's just say, having unfinished business. But we'll get to that once we finish up with the other stories. Margaret's story is that her and her friends need transportation to go to the movie, so they go to the party bus, which, in hindsight, it's really great to spend time to get to the theaters, but due to who is controlling the bus, let's just say that it won't last forever for all these people who attend the party bus. In Benson's story, he tells the story of Mordecai and Rigby need to put wallpaper on the walls inside the house, so this leads to Mordecai and Rigby hiring a person named Jan, who is really talented on putting great wallpapers on, but this leads to disaster later on. Even though that the last episode had interesting concepts when it comes to the telltales of the park, I have to admit that they actually up the ante when it comes to the second and third stories of this episode. The first story, for what it is alright in an entertaining kind of way when it comes to Mordecai's point of view, but you have to admit that the second and third story really proves that these episodes really knew how to be scary and done in a creative direction. The first story, Payback, with it being the weakest story out of the 3, the main reason is that it's supposed to be goofy in a way when it comes to the dead uncle hunting down Mordecai, who is Steve in this, and in all honesty, it is somewhat clever if you actually get into the humor of Regular Show, which it does make sense. But it's the weakest out of the telltales, which isn't terrible. Like, the ending itself is humorous with Uncle Steve giving Mordecai his money back, but I've really seen a lot more better when it comes to the telltales after watching these 2 episodes, and I'm pretty sure that in later installments, there could be one that is worse than this story, but if it isn't, then this will probably be the weakest story out of the entire telltales. Party Bus really showcases of what other characters are capable of telling scary stories when it comes to the point of view of Margaret. Because when you step inside the party bus and have a great time, you get older and older, that you get wrinkles, and shockingly, when you go in reverse, you actually get longer and longer. Granted, the main takeaway of this entire plot is the fact that the driver wants people to die by getting older and older, and when the other characters try to stop them, he disappears, and then without any other option, Mordecai went reverse in the bus in order to go backwards. And like I said, they turn youthful, which, in all honesty, it's supposed to be cute in some other capacity, but at the same time, it's also clever on the fact that they actually came up with this idea, judging of how you can have the option to get young again, but at the same time too young. Honestly, if this got more attention by having it being 11 minutes longer, then I'm pretty sure that they will probably have different techniques on making this party bus a lot more serious, scary, and yet at the same time adorable, to the point that it's rare for a regular show to be adorable, considering it's not a show made for adorableness. The third Telltale Wallpaper Man really takes the cake. Like, even if the other Telltales from the last episode are a lot more horrifying than this really takes the cake when it comes to creativity, when it comes to the wallpaper that they did in order to make this a lot more unique, but also a way of showcasing Benson's point of view. The fact that the wallpaper can change in different ways to the point that it makes it a customizable maze just with only black wallpaper with red lines really made me appreciate the creativity a lot more, considering that Benson is smart enough to actually do something horrifying. And when it comes to him having Mordecai and Rigby doing most of the work, regardless if they died in his story, which is the closest I can side with Rigby, but not completely, believe me, he has his breaking point, to the point that him wanting Mordecai and Rigby to die is literally the only satisfaction that he ever had, since they were mostly responsible on having their car being destroyed, and they had to pick up tow truck in order to get to their destination, just so that they can attend to the Halloween party. With the Spider being the antagonist of this story, I'm pretty sure if this show was a lot more for adults rather than teenagers, then I'm pretty sure that the monster would have been something else rather than a spider. I'm just saying, if Benson really wanted to scale Mordecai and Rigby so much to the point that he wanted to prove a point that he can make a scarier story, all the while showing that he doesn't trust Mordecai and Rigby, which at this point, Mordecai and Rigby just go back to how they were, even after messing up with Benson and making things worse for him. It's difficult to laugh at Rigby's sense of humor of just showcasing of how dumb Benson's story is, but at the same time, the explosion towards the end of Benson's story is honestly the satisfaction that he'll ever get, knowing full well that no one is mostly going to be on his side. Mainly Mordecai and Rigby, because they're the type of people who don't like Benson, but at the same time, when it comes to the morals of these episodes, it's difficult to see how the show would have went if we only see these three going against each other all the time, despite being employed. It's debatable if these Halloween episodes are canon, considering that these characters turned into ghosts after they crashed into a tree, but even if you may like this or not, I still feel like that whenever I talk about these characters, I would have to focus on the main episodes rather than the holiday episodes. And granted, there are holiday episodes that take the characters seriously, but when it comes to the Halloween episodes, they really wanted to tell a lot of terror tales, since that they made 6 of them. Mainly episodes, not stories, episodes. So that's the episode Terror Tales of the Park 2. I really enjoyed this episode a lot more than the last, and even though it's debatable if I'm gonna be doing more of these in the following years, I am still gonna try my best to make it happen. Granted, it would take until 2027 or 8 to wrap all this up, but believe me, I am gonna try to at least have some Halloween content with or without Halloween Mania. Despite 4 episodes of the Terror Tales of the Park from this show, I am gonna be doing something special when it comes to the day of Halloween, which is the final day of Halloween Mania. There's gonna be a lot of similarities of a show that I haven't talked about, Mainly that's from Regular Show, and if you are familiar with it, you're probably going to be shocked to witness it once it's uploaded on the final day. With that being said, I'm giving this episode an 8 out of 10.